He was about to lose everything. The pen trembled in his hand as the clock struck 7:59 a.m. In just 60 seconds, one signature would erase years of sweat, sacrifice, and sleepless nights. Billionaire investor Alexander Cole, once the man Wall Street feared, was now a broken shadow, sitting in a silent boardroom filled with lawyers, waiting to sign his bankruptcy papers. But what he didn't know was that salvation was walking toward him, in worn sneakers, carrying a mop and bucket. That moment, Maria Alvarez, a cleaning lady at Cole Industries, pushed open the glass doors. Her shift started early because she wanted to finish before her daughter's school play that evening. She didn't belong in that room, not among suits and marble floors. Yet fate has its own way of crossing paths that should never meet. Alexander's eyes were empty, staring through the papers before him. The once powerful man with silver hair and sharp features now looked like someone who had already said goodbye to the world. The company he built from scratch had crumbled under accusations of fraud, a missing $5 million, and a partner who had vanished when things got ugly. He had spent months trying to prove his innocence, but the evidence pointed straight at him. Maria noticed him as she cleaned the edge of the conference table. Everyone else ignored her, as always. But something in his stillness made her pause. She saw a man not arrogant or cruel, but tired. She had seen that same look once before, on her husband's face before he passed away, when their debts had buried them alive. As Alexander reached for the pen, Maria's eyes caught something strange. A file, one she had picked up from the floor earlier that morning while cleaning, had the same label as the document he was about to sign. Something about the numbers didn't add up. She didn't know accounting, but she knew when something didn't feel right. Her father used to say, "Numbers don't lie, people do." "Excuse me, sir," she whispered, hesitating. One of the lawyers turned, annoyed. "She's not supposed to be here." "Security," but Alexander raised his hand weakly. "What is it?" Maria stepped closer, her hands shaking slightly. I think this file is wrong." She handed it over. "I found it by the elevator this morning. The numbers here, they don't match what's on that paper." The lawyer smirked. "Ma'am, these are legal documents." "Please," but Alexander opened the file. His tired eyes moved across the pages, slowly at first, then faster. His hand gripped the edge of the paper so tightly his knuckles whitened. The room went silent. This can't be right," he muttered. "Where did you find this?" Maria swallowed. "Outside your office. Near the printer." Alexander looked up, disbelief and hope colliding in his gaze. "This document shows the missing transfer. It wasn't sent to me. It was sent from my partner's account. He forged my approval." The lawyers leaned in. One of them pulled out a laptop, cross-checking the data. "She's right. There's a hidden timestamp." He backdated the transaction. The air in the room shifted, from despair to fire. Alexander stood, trembling but alive again. "You just saved my company," he whispered. Maria blinked, unsure what to say. "I just thought it looked strange." He turned to her, emotion rising in his voice. "You didn't just notice a mistake. You saved a man's life." That morning, the papers were never signed. Instead, Alexander called his investigators, his attorneys, and the authorities. By noon, the truth came out. His partner, Daniel Graves, had wired millions offshore using Alexander's credentials. The evidence Maria had spotted was the missing puzzle piece. By 5 p.m., the news broke: Cole Industries scandal turns, partner arrested for embezzlement. Maria went home quietly that night, not realizing she had changed the course of a billionaire's fate. She arrived just in time for her daughter's school play, still wearing her cleaning uniform, eyes red from tears she couldn't explain. She clapped, smiled, and said nothing. A week later, as Maria entered the building again, she was stopped by a receptionist. "Mr. Cole wants to see you." Her stomach dropped. Did she do something wrong? She stepped into his office, not the cold, empty room from before, but one filled with sunlight and the smell of coffee. Alexander stood near the window, smiling genuinely for the first time in months. "Maria," he said warmly. "I couldn't let what you did go unnoticed." "I just did my job," she replied softly. He chuckled. "You did much more than that." He handed her an envelope. Inside was a scholarship for her daughter, full tuition to the private school she had always dreamed of attending. Maria covered her mouth, tears spilling. "I can't accept this." "You must," he said gently. "Because people like you remind people like me what truly matters." She looked at him, then at the city skyline behind him. "Then promise me one thing, Mr. Cole. Don't forget what it feels like to lose everything, so you'll never stop helping those who already have." He nodded, deeply moved. "That's a promise." Months later, Cole Industries not only recovered but thrived stronger than before. Alexander created a new division dedicated to funding education for underprivileged families, and he named it the Maria Foundation. Every plaque, every certificate bore the same quote she had once said to him: "Sometimes the ones who clean up the mess are the ones who see the truth." And every morning, at exactly 8 a.m., when the world outside rushed and hurried, Alexander Cole paused, not to sign papers, but to remember the woman who had changed his destiny with nothing more than honesty, courage, and a mop in her hand, because sometimes, heroes don't wear suits or capes. Sometimes, they just show up early to work.